We're going on a road trip through the Olympic Peninsula. Our first stop though, we gotta fuel up. We're having burgers at Pick Quick Drive-In. Pretty juicy. It gets messy. We were gonna eat it in the car, but the bag was so oily and dripping. It looks crispy, but it's actually quite soft. There is a squirrel waiting for us to leave and drop some food.
It's plotting.
Hey, no. No. Get away. Oh my. That squirrel is getting bolder and bolder with every time it gets on the table. Our first major stop is Port Townsend. It's a charming town with Victorian architecture and a handful of quaint lodging options. Just 1 block away from the water is the Bishop Hotel. It's a boutique hotel with 16 suites and an organic wine bar and cafe downstairs. This hotel was built in 1890, making it over 130 years old. We're staying in room 11. Oh, it's right there. Oh, it's quite warm. So for most trips, I love to just plan everything out so we don't have to like spend time researching as we go. But a lot has been happening these past 2 months, and this road trip is kind of last minute actually. So hotels we just booked like, what, 3-4 days ago? And we do have a list of places we want to check out, all the nature stuff as well. But we didn't set a time, and it's okay if we don't hit all the spots. Most of this trip is winging it. So that's the hotel. This is the antique shop. I like to think of antique shops as a museum of things you can buy. So many unique items. Some may originate from other countries, others handmade and nowhere else to be found. Simply one of a kind. I often get curious about the stories of each item's previous owners. I'm doing an office makeover and I'm looking for vintage frames. So this is a Victorian double bird cage. Double, butt to butt, stuck to each other. There's one downstairs. This bracelet, it looks like if you put it on, it might give you some power, superpowers. Those look so cool, the old copper Chinese zodiacs. They're stamps. The one all the way on the left, please. You're right. Yeah. Got the ram, the goat. The patina on it is gorgeous. We got so lucky because I literally just booked this about 3 hours ago and the only opening they had was 5 p.m. We got pretty lucky because I accidentally made a reservation for next Friday. But thankfully they have one table open. Cheers!
That's what I needed.
A little bitter, sweet.
Bitterness is wrapped in a sweet blanket.
It almost tastes like there's a little bit of like a honey, but I think that's coming from the cynar. It might look like just bread and butter, but it is so good. When you look at food photos, sometimes the dishes might look all like beautiful, but then the taste is okay. But this one, when you look at it, visually it might look bland, but once it hits your mouth, it's a freaking symphony. It's just so delicious. We chose the right dish for ourselves because the risotto, my husband was like, oh, this is perfect. After you try mine, you're not gonna like yours. But he definitely eats more flavorful, more salty than me. So I was like, that is the perfect dish for you, that risotto. But mine is a perfect dish for me. So yeah, when you go to restaurants, it's not about like, oh, this restaurant is good or not, just based on one dish. There are gonna be different types of dishes, and you kind of have to find the dish that fits you. Slightly foggy this morning. Hear seagulls in the background. Breakfast this morning is inside the shipyard, I guess. Oh, Blue Moose Cafe. This is a weekend special called the Little Italy. It's a breakfast burrito with, did you add bacon and potato?
Yep.
10:15 a.m. and fog. Just a few minutes north is Fort Worden State Park. Spanning over 400 acres, visitors can hike and camp. Some of the historic buildings here have been converted into vacation rentals. Hi, dear. Ooh, there's like 6 of them. Back in the late 1800s, before there were planes, Fort Worden was constructed to help protect local waters from invasion. Today, its batteries are open to the public for exploration. It's a dead end?
We'll walk down there.
Why is it so narrow?
Go check it out.
Now, some sources say the state park is haunted, but while there were some dark, spooky moments, I'm grateful to say we did not see any paranormal activity. Wakey, wakey! Up on the rooftop, take in the views of the Puget Sound. We're just driving around Sequim, and actually Sequim is famous for their Lavender Festival, which takes place in July. There's a lot of great views of the mountains here. During this next leg of driving, we spontaneously check out the Dungeness Forks Campground, which happens to be nestled between 2 rivers. During our stroll, we encountered mushrooms. Actually, there are a lot of mushrooms here, a ton. It's just a couple days ago, a lot of frosting happened overnight, so they're all dying. We pop into Port Angeles for lunch. The seating is interesting. It's a booth facing directly out the window. They serve brunch all day. They have quite a bit of vegan options, over 10. This pan-seared falafel cake is vegan and gluten-free. Love the perfectly roasted Brussels sprouts. The Brussels sprout leaves, some of them are so crispy and thin, so they're like delicate potato chips. So there's a place called Hurricane Ridge. It's one of the most visited sites at the Olympic National Park. It's known for its awesome views, if the sky is clear. When we tried to go, there was a sign saying Hurricane Ridge Road was closed. Normally, the road is open all summer. During the winter, the schedule varies, also depending on the weather and road conditions. Anyhow, we got to see thousands upon thousands of trees, so my heart is feeling full, even though we didn't make it up on the Hurricane Ridge. Alright, let's check into the B&B before the sun sets. This house was originally built in 1926 by an attorney. After the home changed ownerships a few times, it was converted into a bed and breakfast in 1996 and continues to welcome guests with its historic charm. We have a little hallway to the bathroom and the closet. It's very interesting because usually with closets, the rack goes this way, but the racks are on the side and these are built-in drawers. We head back to downtown Port Angeles for dinner. It's the same area where we had lunch earlier. But first, let's smell some new and used books. There's something so exciting about being surrounded by so many books. So many stories, adventures, knowledge, emotions. Just got this book, Crying in H Mart. I've been wanting to read that, so let's do it. Alright, so we walked by this place called Spruce, and it looked promising. The bar table had a figurine's face embedded in resin. Random details like this add bits of character to a place. I was digging this stitched check holder too. As for dessert, cookies await on our nightstand, baked by the innkeeper herself. Caroline also prepares thoughtful gourmet breakfasts for guests. Smells so delicious.
Good morning.
Good morning. As there are 5 rentable rooms, you just might befriend other guests at the dining table. Just checked out. What a lovely stay, and it was such a joy talking with the owner. Ooh, fall foliage. Ooh. Yesterday we saw 3 deer in the backyard, and there's another room, a detached room from the house you can rent out as well. Driving on Highway 101, we eventually get views of Lake Crescent. Park by the Marymere Falls trailhead and soak up the views up close. The water looks pretty like turquoise in some areas. The trail is 1.5 mile round trip. So near the beginning of the trail, we're gonna go under the highway. Perfect moment. Autumn leaves falling. Oh, there's a whole village of mushrooms here. I'm not tall enough to go over. No, I can't go over. My brush is gonna get wet.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that log! Many mushrooms! Aw, tiny cute steps! Wow, what a narrow bridge! Overall, it was an easy walk. However, as you get closer to the falls, the stairs might get you. You'll feel the burn. Woo! This is our exercise for the day. My thighs are yelling at me. Just taking all this nature. Oh! It's a cute waterfall, and you get little mistiness. I do have to say, this kind of makes you want to pee. Inside this thing that looks like an animal hut, check it out, there is a lone mushroom. Next, we check out the Salmon Cascades on the Sole Duck River. In late summer and early fall, you can see salmon leaping. Various fish are born on the Sole Duck River. While they live in the Pacific Ocean for most of their lives, they come back here to spawn. I read online it's October where there's a lot more like salmon jumping around in here. And I read in a review last week that they saw fish jumping. Not today, I guess. Maybe there are a few, but not much. Twilight fans, you might know of this place called Forks. Though none of the movie was actually filmed here, most of it was filmed in and around Portland. But this is the Forks. And there are some shops displaying Twilight merch on their windows. At a coffee stand called A Shot in the Dark, I ordered a pumpkin pie latte. Doesn't taste much of a pumpkin pie, but it is so cozy. Breakfast bagel. Ooh, look at those rays. Sun rays. Oh, beautiful. This beach is filled with pebbles, not sand. There are other beaches on the Olympic Peninsula. This beach, Ruby Beach, got its name due to its reddish sand. Didn't look much red to me when we were there, but maybe I'm slightly colorblind. But then again, I was paying way more attention to the dramatic rocks. That rock kind of looks like a shark fin. They're like pieces of foam drifting as if it's like tumbleweed. Looks like the foam is shivering. Look at them jiggle. Reminds you of Jello. Ruby Beach is pretty popular, and now I know why firsthand. And I would visit again. Hey, there's witch's butter here. About 10 minutes away by car is the Tree of Life. It's a Sitka spruce on the beach. Somehow, with most of its roots exposed to air, this tree is still alive. Its top is green too. Some call it a miracle, others call it a glitch. Underneath is a stream that flows into the ocean. It's said this tree can give in any day. Could be tomorrow, could be 30 years, who knows. So do be careful and be gentle with the tree. Check out those little foams just skidding by. They're like ice skating across the wet sands. Just like the bed and breakfast we stayed at, the Lake Quinault Lodge was built in 1926. This rustic two-story lodge is located by the Quinault rainforest. Some people may find the rooms dated, but there are moments of historic charm. You get your money's worth by enjoying the cozy lounge. Tufted chairs await by the fireplace. There's also a shelf of board games. It was November 19th at the time, and the Christmas tree was just finished being decorated. For crisp, cool air, wander by the lake. The on-site restaurant is called the Roosevelt Dining Room, named after President Roosevelt for when he visited the Lake Quinault Lodge back in 1937. That following year, in 1938, Roosevelt signed a bill designating nearly 900,000 acres as Olympic National Park for wilderness preservation and protection for the native elk. It is day 4, Monday. In daylight, the dining room offers views of the lawn and lake. Before we head back towards Greater Seattle, let's explore a teaspoon of the Quinault rainforest. There are a handful of trails within walking distance from the lodge. This one is located right across from the lodge. It's gonna be about a 1.5 mile hike. There are little mushrooms here and there. Check it out! The famous Amanita muscaria. We're approaching the third bridge. Ooh, it feels mysterious all of a sudden. Very thin trees, but also very mossy if you look close. First time seeing a mushroom like this. It's like kind of translucent, but the bottom part looks teethy. We just finished the loop. I remember a viewer recommending Point Ruston, so I was curious to take a peek. So I learned that Point Ruston is a waterfront neighborhood built on a 97-acre former industrial site. Today it has various dining options, shopping, and entertainment. Some of the stalls are not open. This one's called Bobaholic, coming soon. We're gonna get some tacos. Those crunchy edges are such a delight. Check out these grassy seats. That's funny. Alright, it's a Monday, so it's pretty quiet around here, but I'm imagining weekends it is very lively. The grocery area. Oh, a small farmer is running this show. Their apples. Where we ate, that area has a lot of new development. I found that the drive, that was more interesting because you see like all these older buildings. There was something nostalgic about driving to and from Point Ruston. Along Ruston Way were remnants of the past. The old pilings now serve as sunbathing spots for birds. And then we went home. Remember to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Toodles, my noodles. They do have picnic tables. Remember to bring cash though, because they're cash only. We're walking to dinner and passing by this restaurant called Alchemy, and look at that stuffed turkey doll on water. Hope you enjoyed this road trip vlog. For more outtakes and bonus footage, watch the exclusive vlog number 10 on Patreon, which turns out to be over 19 minutes long. It includes long, relaxing scenes of nature, additional room tour clips of each place we stayed, and tons of other footage. By the way, when you plan your trip to the Olympic Peninsula, and Washington State for that matter, always keep the weather in mind. We do have 4 distinct seasons here. In my pockets of free time, I paint and do all kinds of arts and crafts. Lately, I've been slowly but surely making progress on my patina paint and spray piece. For more artsy-fartsy updates, follow my arts and crafts Instagram @CreativeChillout. For updates on food, travel, and life, my main Instagram is Miss Nina O. See you in the next video.